This man was a member of the Brown University men's varsity water polo team. After graduating in 2008 with a BA in Classics, he moved up I-95 to obtain his Doctor of Veterinary Medicine at Tufts University. In 2016, he moved to Denver to get his MBA in Strategic Leadership in Healthcare Organizations. And now, he is the medical director and partner at the Goodheart Animal Health Center. I'm very pleased to be joined today by Dr. Alexander Robb. Alex, thanks for agreeing to appear on CWPA Remote, the professional edition.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here.
So how and why did you end up choosing Brown University?
Well, I have a long family history at Brown. My parents both went there, my dad's brother, my mom's brother, and also my dad's parents were alums at Brown. So there was not a lot of options as far as they were all concerned when I was first looking at schools to attend. And it ended up being absolutely the right choice for me as well. Very, very happy with the athletic and academic experience that I had there. But yeah, it was a family thing, so to speak. My brother also followed me a few years afterwards and played water polo at Brown as well. So we have a long family history there.
Oh, that's great. Was there any of the parental sit down saying, well, you can choose to go anywhere you like, Alex, but if you want us to pay for it, you better choose Brown?
Yeah, I think that joke was made many, many times.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. So do you remember what your very first water polo practice was like there?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a chaotic start. I was recruited by Todd Clapper, who's now coaching at Arizona State, but he left before I matriculated to take that position. And so we had hired a new coach, Jason Gall, before my freshman year started. And so a little bit of an adjustment period, and the team had a little bit of turnover as a result. So it was a little bit of a feeling out process. I remember just being overwhelmed. It was early in the summer before school started. We had our sort of training week beforehand, and spending about 8 hours a day in the pool or doing dryland work as well, and just trying to keep up as a freshman who didn't really know what he was getting himself into. So,
all right. And how about your first game?
Gosh, I think I remember our first home game. I'm not sure if it was the first game of the season, but our first home game was just a really, really amazing experience. The old pool at Brown had this very loud, echoing kind of sound to it, and we had lots of fans there that were right on the deck, so you could hear a lot of our supporters, and they were an eclectic group, very passionate group of fans we had, and it was just a really fun experience to get to play in front of fans.
And what is your single best memory from being on the team?
Gosh, there's so many.
You can go for a couple if you like.
I remember, the first time we beat Harvard when I was on the team was a pretty special moment. That rivalry is always a great one, and kind of had its ebbs and flows throughout the years. But we struggled against them initially and had some tough losses throughout the first year I was there. And then after that, we had a pretty good run. But I remember that first win against Harvard really fondly. Scoring my first goal was against Queens College at home, which was a lot of fun to have that happen. And then, I think we had a couple really, really great teams that, we struggled against teams like St. Francis and Navy, and we managed to beat them. Finally, it kind of felt like towards the end of my college career that those were some special wins as well.
For sure, and nothing like a good rivalry to stoke the fires of competition. Did you have any disappointing events along the way with the team?
Yeah, I think we always wanted to proceed and kind of get to the sort of semifinal rounds at Easterns, and a couple of years we didn't make it. We lost our first game at Easterns, and those were always kind of bitter losses, just because the season's over and you still have to play a few more games. But overall, I think the program was struggling a little bit when I got there, and thanks to a lot of the great teammates that I had and the support that we got from alumni and the coaches that we had, the team was really able to ride out a difficult period, both, with the coaching turnover and also with losing our pool. My senior year, we didn't have a pool because the Pool Brown got condemned, and we had to deal with the bubble and trying to commuting and practicing in other places. So just to keep the program going, I think that was a big accomplishment.
All right. And any funny story or unusual story from your time on the Bears? I mean, keep in mind that there's a PG rated show, so you got to go within confines of that.
Yeah. God, no, we had a lot of fun. I think, you know, I remember interacting with our fan base. We had a really, one of my favorite stories, which is PG, is we played MIT at home. I think it was my sophomore year, and Felix Mercado, who's currently the coach at Brown, was coaching MIT at the time. And, you know, MIT was a pretty comparable team at that time. We had a good rivalry with them, and the fans just showed up in numbers I had never seen before for that game. And they were so loud right on MIT's bench that Felix actually had to move their bench across the pool at halftime because they couldn't hear anything, which we all got a kick out of. It definitely fired us up.
Okay. All right. Well, before we delve into your working career, I know our viewers would love to hear about your 2 head coaching experiences in the CWPA with women's college club teams.
Yeah, I've actually had a fairly diverse experience with the CWPA, both as a varsity athlete, and then I also played a little bit of club water polo at Tufts University when I did my graduate degree. And then also while I was in grad school, I took a job coaching the college program at Wellesley, which is a women's school in Massachusetts. And that was kind of my first foray into coaching, and it was great. It was a small program that was just kind of getting started, and we really kind of built something competitive by the end of the few years that I coached there. And that program has continued on, and I feel very, very proud that has sort of lived on from what we got started there. And then when I moved to Denver, Colorado, where I live now, I took a position at the Colorado School of Mines, which is a small engineering school in Golden, Colorado. And I was the first head coach for the women's program there. They had a new program that had been co-ed for a few years, and then when I started, they split the teams into a men's and women's team. And so, yeah, it's been great. It's been a really rewarding experience. The students I get to coach are super smart and hardworking, and we've had some good success to this point, which is really rewarding.
It's great that you're involved that way on top of everything you do. So let's get to the meat of the matter. No pun intended here. So after you got started working, you then went on to spend just under 6 years as a senior associate veterinarian at Ethos, or Ethos, however you pronounce it. How did you wind up there, and what did you do there?
Yeah, so like human medicine, veterinary medicine has a match program for sort of specialty training after you finish medical school or veterinary school. And so I was lucky enough to match at an excellent hospital in the Colorado or the Denver area. At the time, it's Wheat Ridge Animal Hospital, which was then later became part of the Ethos group. And so I did 2 years of additional training there, pretty intense training. The first year was focusing on a whole plethora of different specialties, and then the second year was focused exclusively on surgery. And after I finished those 2 years, I stuck around and was a general practitioner that also did a lot of emergency surgery in that capacity as well. So that was the first kind of part of my veterinary life, was working at that hospital, initially as an intern and then eventually as a senior associate.
Okay, and then, and I know these things are congruent, so let's do them one at a time. You transition out of Ethos into creating your own company. Tell us about that happening and what you plan to do.
Yeah, so when I went to business school as just sort of while I was also working, and as that kind of evolved, I definitely developed more of an interest in the management side of medicine and wanted to kind of create something a little bit different. And so decided to leave Ethos and kind of go out on my own, and started a sort of locum is the term that's used, a lot of relief business, where I would go and do some support work at other practices, and practice as a veterinarian, and also offer a little bit of kind of consulting help along that line. And that's something that I did for about a year while we were working on getting the Goodheart hospital started, which is where I currently work and help manage. So that was kind of a quick detour while we were kind of figuring that all out. And now I'm helping run a couple of hospitals in the Denver area under the Goodheart Animal Health Center brand.
Okay, so tell us about the Goodheart brand and what it operates as, and then specifically what you do.
Yeah, so Goodheart is a general practice in the Denver area that we kind of do pretty much everything short of specialty medicine in the veterinary world. So routine things like just wellness visits and vaccines and the like, to surgery and dentistry and taking care of sick pets as well. So myself and a couple of partners started the first hospital in November of 2019, and then kind of weathered the storm of the pandemic, and it's grown quite quickly and become pretty successful so far, which is great to see. And then now we are opening our second location, hopefully in November of 2021, that I will be sort of transitioning from the first location to the second one to be the medical director there. So I'll be in charge of kind of running and operating that hospital, as well as seeing the patients and doing all the other things that I've been doing for the last year and a half or so at the other hospital, but a little bit more sort of management ownership responsibilities as well.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned that you do a lot of the things for animals, but you say you don't do some things. What specifically don't you do, and what's the reason?
Yeah. So we don't have 24-hour care at our hospitals. We don't have overnight staffing, and so anything that requires hospitalization to that extent, we would refer to a specialty center. We do a lot of surgery, but there's some surgeries that do require more expertise than the training that we have, and also just require a little bit more intensive nursing care than what we're able to provide in our facilities. So we partner with local hospitals that do have those capabilities when we need to for our patients.
All right. So I did notice something, and just want to ask you about it and let our viewers in on it. But you apparently are a certified canine rehabilitation therapist. What does that mean? What does it entail?
Yeah, so that is basically the equivalent of physical therapy for dogs. So when I did my surgical training, I got a little bit more advanced training in orthopedics than maybe your average veterinarian would. And with that often comes a lot of rehabilitation needs and physical therapy kinds of things. So whether it's a patient that's struggling with neurologic disease or orthopedic disease, recovering from surgery, that kind of thing, I have a certification in kind of how to help those animals maintain their strength and flexibility and range of motion. And we also work with a lot of athletes. So this is kind of a fun way to tie in my previous life, so to speak. But we work with a lot of competitive dogs and working dogs, whether they be on like police forces or things along those lines, or agility or fly ball or other areas where people have dogs that are competing and may be injured or may need some extra training to kind of just help keep them at their most fit and competitive levels. So it's analogous. I'm sure a lot of our viewers here are familiar with the training room at some point in their life. So it's the same concept, but for our competitive dogs as well. Okay.
So I personally am a huge believer in volunteerism. I think it's something that, society should have a lot more of. And in fact, I think it should be a requirement after high school. I know in high school they have to do community service and all that, but it seems to be a one and done for too many people. But you've done 6 years in animal welfare. Can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, so I've tried to make sure that I give back to the community in as many ways as I can, and sometimes that's time and sometimes it's other ways, but probably the most important volunteering that I've done largely revolves around shelter medicine. So I've done a lot of work with local shelters and local rescues to help kind of provide care for animals that may not otherwise get it. And then the other things I've done have been more international. So there's a group called World Vets that I work with that is, they basically are like Doctors Without Borders, but on the veterinary perspective.
I was going to ask you that.
We go to, yeah. So we go to other countries. Most of my experience has been in Central and South America. So I've done trips in Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Peru at this point in time. And those are all generally like spay, neuter, sterilization kind of things, but we also do vaccines and parasite prevention and just kind of other, whatever we can get done in the time that we're there. We usually set up clinics that operate for about 3 days and sometimes we're doing about 100 surgeries a day. It's pretty intense. They're definitely long days, but it's just great to be able to give back to communities that just otherwise don't have any access to veterinary care at all, really. And so having the ability to kind of network with locals and kind of help give back in that fashion is super rewarding. And those trips have been the sources of some wonderful friends and professional colleagues that I've met over the years as well.
And do you plan to, no pun intended again here, but do you plan to expand your borders of your volunteer work?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely work that I'd love to continue doing, and like I said, I have some excellent, wonderful friends that I've done these trips with a number of times, and I'm sure that we will continue to do those. Obviously, the pandemic has put a little bit of a damper on that for the time being, but once we're able to travel a little bit more easily and do that, so I'd love to continue giving back in that fashion.
All right, and before we get into the link between water polo and your working career, what would you say specifically about anybody looking at being a veterinarian or being involved with animals on the medical side? What's involved? What kind of people should they be?
I think there's probably not necessarily one particular person that is going to be a good fit for veterinary medicine. I think, our industry will benefit from diversity and having different perspectives and different experiences with animals. I think the best advice for anyone looking at the career is to get some experience and do some of that volunteer work or take a job at a clinic or work with a number of different types of veterinarians. I spent, hours and hours working with equine vets, and my mom's family has a dairy farm in Northern Illinois. So I spent a fair amount of time up there as well, just getting experience and exposure to working with animals. And, it's a big commitment to make. It's a challenging, expensive career to pursue. And you really want to make sure you know what you're getting yourselves into before you kind of take that leap, so to speak. So I think getting the exposure to what the life of a veterinarian is like is not only helpful in terms of making sure it's what you want to do, but also gives you that experience to carry into it and, have that kind of foundation as you go through your educational experience.
And where would people in various parts of the country look to follow this path?
I mean, anywhere there's a veterinarian right now is definitely looking for help. As the hiring world is challenging these days, I think there's definitely opportunities to take sort of, especially those entry-level positions, and get some exposure and experience to it. You can always volunteer at local shelters or other nonprofits. Even those World Vets trips, that you don't have to be a veterinarian to go on them. They have non-clinical roles as well that are super important in sort of supporting the veterinarians that are there. So there's lots of different ways to find a way to get that experience and be as creative as you can.
Okay, and forgive my ignorance on this because I've heard it both ways, but what is the educational pathway vis-a-vis undergrad versus postgrad?
Yeah, so it's essentially the same as medicine for humans. So you'll do 4 years of undergrad and have an undergraduate degree, and you don't have to necessarily be a biology major, but there are the same kind of prerequisites that you would need for applying to medical school. And then it's a 4-year doctorate program after undergrad. And then after you complete that, you are essentially a general practitioner. And if you would like to specialize in additional training, it's another four or so years of specialty training to get to the level of a specialist. So somewhere between 4 and 8 years after undergraduate education to finish your training.
Okay. Well, we've talked about your collegiate water polo career a bit and your current career a bit, because that's all we have the time for. But can you speak about how you feel your water polo career has impacted your working career?
Oh, I mean, I think just working in teams has been the most important thing. I think learning how to not only be a team member, but a leader, and understanding what a good high functioning team is like is really the most important lesson that I took from water polo and playing college water polo. It's helped me coach in my professional life. It's helped me be a good team member in my professional life, and just having that background and knowing what a really well-performing team looks like is been super helpful in helping me succeed in my professional life.
All right. Well, have you ever found yourself in a business situation, or maybe even your volunteer situation, where you've been involved in that situation, you stop for a split second, and inside your head, you said to yourself, you know what? I can draw on that, whatever that is, from my water polo experience, and then gone on to deal with the situation. What was the situation? How'd you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the world vets trips, the international trips, are often just plagued with chaos at times because there's so many things that need to happen, and you're working in multiple different languages and multiple different sort of priorities and perspectives, and that's definitely something that I've experienced with water polo. It's such an international sport, and having multiple different people with different backgrounds and different perspectives is common. So being able to communicate and function in those situations that are pretty intense and pressure filled when you're doing surgery, it's definitely something that I've drawn on, where you kind of get used to that controlled chaos and can breathe in the moment and kind of slow everything down a little bit. And whether it's in a foreign country or even in an OR in a particularly intense or challenging surgery that I'm doing here, just having that clarity of mind when you're seeing something happen almost in slow motion. I think that happened for me from time to time when we were clicking on all cylinders with water polo. It's the game slows down pretty quickly, and you can see things at a time and anticipate. And that's definitely been relevant. I remember, if you can sometimes see what's going to happen on a 6-on-5 before it even happens, just based on how the defense is aligned, and if you're able to kind of move the ball where you need it to go, and you can see 3 passes ahead. And I think we're often doing that, when we're working in emergency settings or trying to triage, or when we're, doing surgery that's challenging. You're constantly kind of slowing things down and anticipating and trying to make sure you're prepared for what's next. And so that's definitely been relevant.
Great analogies. So people in your position often get asked, what would you say to your younger self? But I like to take it the exact opposite approach. So I want to know what Alex Robb, Brown University college water polo player, would say to Alex Robb, managing partner of Goodheart, today.
I think I've been able to achieve the goals that I've had set out for a long time, which is really exciting. So I think I would be proud of myself, and to a certain extent. It's been a lot of work, and definitely had some bumps in the way, and a lot of learning that I needed to do between my time in college and my time now. But I think it's just a testament to really setting goals and continuing to work as hard as you can to achieve them. This was something that I had hoped I would be able to accomplish, 10 years ago or more, and wasn't really sure I could. But right now, professionally, I've been able to really push myself into challenging and new positions in the last few years, and it's been a very rewarding and positive experience so far.
All right. Well, final question. Watching today, we have high schoolers who are planning to go to college and their parents, and they're looking around at colleges. We've got college players who are looking at what's going to happen after I graduate and thinking about careers, and maybe even people who are already in careers thinking about career switches. So what pieces of advice would you give to them about college water polo and its impact on a post-graduation career?
I think the lessons that we learn from playing water polo are extraordinarily valuable, whether it's being part of a team or getting experience to different cultures and having the kind of commitment that you have to make to be on a team through college. It's not an insignificant thing. So it gives you all kinds of really valuable lessons. And also the network of water polo is a pretty tight one. And there's been tons of help that I've received along the way from the various people that I've met in the game and continue to, both with, playing masters and coaching still. Like, it's just such a robust community to be a part of. So definitely lean into that and use those connections to help support you along the way. And I'm super grateful for my experience in water polo, and will continue to be so as I continue to keep my feet in the water, so to speak. It's a little different than it was in college, but I'm enjoying coaching now and still playing as much as I can. So it's something that, continues a gift that continues to keep giving.
Well, great perspective. And veterinarian extraordinaire Alex Robb has been my guest today on CWPA Remote Professional Edition. Lastly, any last comments?
Well, always wanted to throw this out there to my doctor friends, but we have the saying in veterinary medicine that real doctors treat more than one species. So I appreciate all the work that's been done on the front lines with my human compatriots, and look forward to continuing to do that work with you all.
Well, thanks so much for agreeing to appear on the CWPA Remote Professional Edition, Alex, and we will be following your career, especially abroad, with great interest.
Thanks so much.
Until next time on CWPA Remote Professional Edition, this is George Gross Jr. wishing all of our viewers the very best in and out of the water.